They can't search you if you're underage?
They can't like pat you down or anything.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes. So.
I didn't know that.
I mean, it's not going to work now.
Right. No, I mean, I did.
Yeah.
I was just not aware.
He would just ask me. He's like, "Do you have anything on you?" Like, of course I'm gonna say no.
Millie makes songs. Hey, I made this one. Jerry builds bikes and they go real fast. They're mental defectives.
Welcome to the Mental Defectives Podcast, a show where we interview interesting individuals with a focus on addiction and health. I'm your host, Millie Graham. That's Millie if you know me, Mr. Graham if you owe me. Joined, as always, by the Han Solo of Harleys, the gearhead with a heart of gold. It's Mr. Jerry with a G.
Glad to be here.
And today we have a very special guest. She is a former wook, current yogi. You can catch her on top of a mountain or at the pit of a Wu-Tang show. Don't be fooled by her small stature because she's a spiritual giant. The sober force is strong with this one. Please welcome Jess.
Hi.
Jess, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for asking me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from here in Columbus, Ohio. Clinton-Villan. Grew up in Clinton-Villan.
Oh, Clinton-Villian.
Clinton-Villan.
I
Yes.
like it.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you start drinking?
Oh, man. So 13 going into high school. I'd say that's like freshman year in high school.
Nice.
Drinking, smoking cigarettes.
What was your brand?
I want to say Marlboro Reds. Always.
Oh, the Cowboy Killers off the
Yes.
gate. Hell yeah.
Yeah, then I graduated to American Spirits and went to Rollies and then went back to Cowboy Killers at one point. But, yeah, that's what I started on last year.
I want to say Parliament Lights was maybe what I
Really?
started with. I don't know why.
Yeah?
I
Ooh.
couldn't.
Yeah, I remember smoking my mom's, like, they were called Now Menthol 100s. They were in a, like, mint green pack. They're super off-brand cigarettes. But that was the first cigarette I ever smoked.
I'm pretty sure I stole a pack from my grandma that
Yeah.
smoked
Hell
those.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't make them anymore. She'd have to go to, like, certain, like, gas stations and drive-thrus to find them. Yeah.
Dude, my dad, that might have been my first cigarette. He smoked True Blue 100s. I don't know what is with parents and smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
There's a guy at a convenience store by their house. It was the only place they still sell them.
Yeah.
And then the guy would order like 2 cases a month, one for my dad and one for some other random person, the only 2 people in
That
the
bought 'em.
country that
Yeah.
bought them. And then when my dad quit, then the guy's like shit out of luck.
Right, right.
Yeah, I think she had
Yeah.
like the 150s. Like I think that's what they were, the extra
The
long
foot
ones.
long?
The
Yes.
real long ones.
And they were skinny too,
Yeah.
from what I remember. And I just remember stealing a pack from her, and like it was not even worth it, from what I remember. So, but
Hell yeah.
yeah.
All right, so we're drinking, we're smoking foot-long cigarettes. What else are we doing?
Smoking cigs.
Yeah. I mean, I'd sneak out onto the school baseball field I was in, and like in the dugout, smoke some weed with the other outcasts of the high school I went to, and yeah, just kind of off to the races from there. So
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
What were some like, do you have any like consequences early on, or this is just still like benign party phase?
Benign party phase for
Hell yeah.
sure. I
Yeah.
would say it like started off pretty like timid. I went to a Catholic high school, and I'm not Catholic by any means whatsoever, and family's not Catholic, none of that. But I found like the small group of rejects in the high school, and we would just kind of find like whatever we could to be up to no good and like cause a ruckus, you know, and yeah, I mean, I'd say the most consequences I got were like getting called into the dean of women's office like on a daily basis. Me and her became like really good friends.
Yeah. I also went to a Catholic high school. I understand that whole thing.
Yes.
So, do you remember like the first time you actually like got drunk?
I don't think I do, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, like I want to say I remember trying it. It was on like one of those old wooden playgrounds in like UA. I don't know if you guys remember those. They probably got rid of all of them because they're
The
like
splinter
exactly.
factories.
They're like
Right.
not
Oh,
up to
yeah.
code and
Right.
not safe for kids. But yeah, I remember like trying alcohol. Mainly, I remember that was when I started smoking weed.
Yeah.
From that night
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah.
Hell
Nice.
yeah. And then where do we go from here? So you're smoking weeds, ripping cigs, drinking as a high schooler, Catholic high schooler.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, so like Catholic school, really did not do well there. I was not a good school kid, like not paying attention, like no good grades whatsoever. And, again, getting called into the Dean of Women's office like every frickin' day. But, yeah, so, I think that's when I really, figured out that I had a problem with like authority figures. So like I said, it was pretty timid for like the first maybe like couple years of my using, but I had failed out of the Catholic school I went to, and I actually transferred to a charter school, much smaller school. It was like 150 kids, and but like out of like the 150 kids, I'd say like 100 of them did probably the same things that I did. So like before school, after school, sneak in some breaks either in the bathroom or like we had this, there was an art studio, and then back behind that was like a storage unit, and we would go and sneak back there and like smoke pot. And I remember like trying heroin for the first time at that high school too. So that's when like things really started kind of kicking up, I'd say, usage wise. So, but yeah, like I want to say it was mostly fun to start with, like not a lot of like external consequences other than like failing out of high school pretty much. But it wasn't until like after high school when I started like the oh shit button,
Oh yeah.
was
Same.
getting pressed. So by like some miracle, whatever, higher power I have, I graduated high school. I had gotten held back 2 years. So I was fucking like 20 years
25?
old.
Oh, shit.
Yes. I was 20 years old. Like
Yeah.
all my friends had either graduated or dropped out. And then like here I am like in fucking limbo in like my 50th, senior year. And, but I managed to like just push the fuck through it and graduate. So that was like maybe one good thing that came out of.
Dude, better late than never.
No shit.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm sure we all know
I know.
plenty of people
Oh, yeah.
that
Yeah.
had to go back and get a GED or
Yes.
something.
Yeah, I remind
Oh, yeah.
myself every time I fill out like a job application. I'm like, oh yeah, I did do that. I'm like, that's fucking cool. I graduated. I have
Hell
my high school diploma.
So after high school, what are we doing?
So yeah, after high school, like I don't know really what clicked in my brain. I think it was just more so like I felt like I didn't have any other responsibilities anymore. So I was with a dude and like lived with him at his mom's house.
Nice.
I worked at Grader's Ice Cream for a little bit and like caused a ruckus there. And
How do you cause a ruckus at a family-friendly ice cream store?
stealing some of their money from the cash
Oh,
register.
yeah, well, that'll do it.
Yeah.
They frown upon that.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Big frown
Most
upon.
businesses do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that lasted maybe like 6 months, I think. They like knew very well I was the one that was doing it, and then my boyfriend at the time too. He was kind of like conspiring with me, and they caught us both on camera like doing this. But I remember I was supposed to open up a morning shift, and I got a call from my shift manager, and he's like, "We actually need to have a meeting before like you start your shift today." So I just knew.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I can either like fuck off and not go or go. So I went and like I told them like what was up, and like I had my manager and then his manager and then like one of the graders like fucking family members like sitting at this
Whoa,
table with
shit.
me. Yeah, like basically doing like a mini intervention.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, the only thing that came from it though was like sacrificing my last 2 paychecks and then obviously getting fired. But
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, obviously. So, yeah, I mean that was like kind of like the theme I'd say for me was like just fucking around and like stealing whatever I could. And like, again, like high school, I'd gotten like introduced to heroin. So by the time like I was out of high school, it was like opiates, uppers. I don't even think weed and alcohol were even in the picture anymore. It was just, that hard shit. So,
how'd you make that initial jump in high school from like smoking weed and drinking straight to heroin? Or are we like skipping some steps in there or something?
Probably skipping some steps.
Okay.
There's like, God, I feel like a huge chunk of my life is just like so fucking blurry. But
Same.
yeah. No, I remember just partying with some people. They were also like people that I went to high school with, and then people that were in other high schools. But they would just have like parties at their houses, and then slowly but surely like things were getting introduced, like coke, and then like someone would bring in like X for the weekend or whatever. I mean, I tripped for the first time with them, and like and then all these other things kind of started getting in, like heroin or like crack, and like it would just be like, oh, you got it, I'll try it, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, so it's like sprinkled in there here and there.
Okay, so now we've had our dishonorable discharge from Graders. From Graders Ice Cream. What take us away from there?
So from there, I mean, this like maybe spanned like a year and a half. It's with the same dude, and didn't even try to get any kind of job anymore. He had gone to rehab already, and it was like short term. I'm pretty sure it was like Mary Haven or something, short term rehab, and I like had this like period of time where I was just kind of on my own and like figuring myself out, but then he came back, and for some reason we just like went like full fucking like 0 to 100 really quick. Found like dealers on campus on the west side, east side. Lived in a dope house for a summer, and that kind of like brings me to the end of it. So like so much was actually like smushed into like one summer of my life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where it just boom, you know. So yeah, we were in this dope house on campus, and I remember the summer we like stayed in this sunroom, and it was like 100+ degrees.
Ooh.
Ugh.
And yeah, like outside, so then that's like magnified.
Oh yeah.
In the sunroom. And
Cooking in a sunroom.
Yeah, no shit.
yes. Smoking crack too on top of that.
Oh, lovely.
You know, like
Yeah.
yeah. So like I know that summer in particular, when I came out and went to rehab, I was like 85 pounds, and I blame it on like the sauna I fucking lived in, and then all the crack.
That'll fucking do it. God damn. Do not try that at home, kids.
Right.
That's not the healthy way to lose weight.
No.
No.
That's like some Requiem for a Dream shit.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so we're in the trap house on campus, in the sunroom.
Yeah.
What?
Awful. Absolutely awful. Yeah, dealer lived upstairs. I mean, we had like his dealer. They would come in through the door. I just remember it being like this awful, like vicious fucking cycle of like, if you got any sleep, you slept for maybe like 2 hours. And then we would wake up and like try to hustle and like, you know, find shit to sell, go fly a sign on the highway. That was like where I drew the line. I didn't want to fly a sign, but I would go to like the gas station and try to get people to give me like gas money.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But dude would go and fly a sign off the highway.
Were you ever successful with the gas?
I would say I was more successful with like actually getting gas than like money. If that makes
Yeah.
any sense. Yeah.
Okay.
So the girl I was with at the time, we kind of like were a duo with it. She had a car, so people would think it was like, you know, true. But they would more often like offer to put gas in the
car.
versus,
Yeah.
you know,
Give you
giving you
cash.
money.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect fucking sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, obviously sucky at the time for me.
Yeah, because then what do you do if you're like, we need gas money? They're like, no, I'll fill it up. You're like,
Actually, the tank's full.
Yeah, they put the thing in and it just immediately starts overflowing. You're like, oh wow. So it's
I'm
actually
pretty
full.
sure it was fairly empty most of the time anyway.
Fair.
Yeah. Because, like, you know, burning gas, just like driving east side, west side,
Yep.
you know, campus, every fucking where to
Yeah.
go get whatever. So, yeah. But yeah, I just remember it being this like crazy cycle. It was like living in this loop. But yeah, so like hustling, selling shit, getting a little bit of money. We would go and buy our crack for the day. That would like set us straight for most of the day. And then usually by the time like maybe 9, 10, 11, I mean, they would like show up when our dealer would like re-up. Then we would get our heroin and then use for the night, come down, and then start that right back over again the next day. So,
And you guys went crack over heroin.
yeah.
Wild.
No idea.
Interesting.
I don't know. That
feel
was
like
probably my preferred, to be honest.
Okay.
Was the uppers, but I mean, it was honestly just whatever we could get.
Because I just feel like once you're like physically on like opiates, it's like that is like, I got to get that covered, then I can worry about
Right.
extra stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems like that was the opposite. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Huh.
I mean,
And
it
you
was
weren't
only
getting,
good
like-
the first hit, you know, and then after that, you're just like fucking chasing it.
But you weren't like just going dope sick all day?
So I wasn't. My boyfriend was. So I actually used this for a while to like kind of exclude myself from like any kind of 12-step because
Yeah.
I never like shot dope. So I just like smoked it.
Yeah.
My
Same.
boyfriend though, he shot it up and like he would be dope sick on a daily basis. And so like I mean, I can't really speak for him or like what his mind frame was, but it was just like whatever we could fucking get, you know. So I would help him and obviously get mine in return, and so yeah. My dope sick wasn't anything probably compared to his.
Interesting. Because I know, like, in my experience, uppers always, like, made dope sickness worse.
Really?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Dude, bro, one time we went to a Halloween party at OU.
Jeez, yeah.
And I had a bunch of Oxycontin, and we did, and then I was, like, drunk and, like, sold a bunch of it. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. And then woke up in the morning, and all I had left was some Adderall.
Oh.
Bro,
yeah.
I'm like hungover,
Yep.
like withdrawing. I'm like, oh, this is all I got. I guess I'll take it. Worst decision. One of the worst decisions I've ever
Yeah.
made. It was so fucking
Yes.
miserable.
Ew. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I experienced true like withdrawal up until like I stopped like everything. So
Yeah.
going into treatment, I just like locked myself in my bedroom for a week and just sweat and shit it all out pretty much.
It's hardcore.
Yes. Very hard.
Yeah.
The Mental Defectives Podcast is brought to you by Milligram's new EP, More Is Always Better. 6 electrifying tracks available on all streaming platforms.
All right, so we're staying in the trap house in the sunroom, hustling, living off the land, as it's often referred to.
Land of campus. Yeah. OSU.
And then what, like, were there? I mean, aside from the living conditions, were there any like consequences or like in law enforcement run-ins or any super
Several.
crazy
Yeah.
experiences here?
Dude, I don't know what it is, like if you call it like luck or like a higher power or I don't know. So never got locked up for anything. I had plenty of visits from CPD, that's for sure, and plenty of run-ins with them. I remember one time actually before I turned 18, I was 17. I went to Granville with some friends, and we went and we were drinking and smoking weed at this like what we thought was a metro park that stayed open, or at least that's what the person had told us, but it was closed. So of course we're there after dark, and these Granville cops like pull up and are basically searching everybody. And since I was underage at the time, I was wearing these big camo pants and camo cargo pants, and I stuffed like, I think I maybe had like 2 weed pipes in one pocket. I had like a bowl case in another pocket, and I just like had everything that everyone had, maybe with an exception of like a couple. And I really couldn't do anything because I was under 18. So I got like really lucky several times. I mean,
They can't search you if you're underage?
they can't like pat you down or anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. So
I didn't know that.
I mean, it's not going to work now.
Right. No, I mean,
yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
not aware.
He would just
yeah.
ask me. He's like, "Do you have anything on you?" Like, of course I'm gonna say no.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So yeah, got off like scot free, and that's just like, one little example. I mean, I remember like getting into fights with my boyfriend at the time at like Easton Mall because we were both wasted, and CPD coming up and like trying to break us up and like wanting to send us to jail or him to jail or whatever, and it just never happened for me. So like again, that was kind of one thing that like I used for a while to like exclude myself from the group of like in recovery group, because I've met plenty of people that have like served time, shot dope, like lost their kids, like all of these huge, like really big like external consequences, and but like I didn't really experience that. It was kind of my own internal shit. So
Yeah.
I mean, that first time I got clean, I did lose a lot of things. I mean, like I severed a lot of relationships. I mean, everything that they say, but like sold, pawned every little fucking thing I owned, everything that like other people owned.
Yeah.
And like was in this dope house and just had fucking nothing. I mean, no friends, no family, nothing like that, no job, and I don't even know how old. I think I want to say 21 or 22 at the time. So, yeah, but I mean, it really wasn't until like later on, and this is probably when I met you, that like I had gotten some clean time and like started getting those things back. But yeah, I don't know. I shared at a women's prison once. I was mortified because I'm like, there's all these women that are locked up for who knows how long. And like, here I am walking in and I've never done like what they're doing right now. So like, but honestly, it was probably one of the more like rewarding experiences that I ever had was going there and sharing there. Like it didn't fucking matter like what I thought.
Yeah.
All I know is
Right.
that like they came up to me and they were just like grateful that somebody came and like shared with them, So.
Oh yeah, it's all about
That's
like carrying the
cool.
message and.
Right.
I know you came and spoke at a detox with me one time back in the day.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Like
every
it's a
time,
blur.
every time I would go speak somewhere like that, I would always be like, "You're gonna let me out now, right? Like I'm gonna come in,
Right.
but then I'm gonna leave."
Yeah.
Right.
And like I don't know, it doesn't matter how many times I did that. In the back of my head, I'm always like, I would get back out to my car and be like, okay, like I got it,
Right.
We're free. Yeah.
Where's the Wookiee phase
The Wookiee
kick in?
phase.
Because when I met you, you still had like crazy dreads. I believe you would refer to them as like a rat nest or like a.
Yeah, I had this. Oh my god.
I don't know what you would call
This
it.
is why I'm like grateful for people that like knew me because, like I said, I don't remember shit like 99.9% of the time. So, yeah, I remember like I would wear these fucking wool like beanies and I would twist my hair up in them. And then I did that so much that like, and didn't brush my hair that I just had this giant dread ball in the back of my head.
Oh Lord.
It was terrible. That's probably when I first maybe came in. I want to say like.
I feel like when you,
don't know.
because I met you like right. I mean, dude, you're going back so many years, but like.
Yeah, it's like 15.
I just remember you being like super tiny, like maybe 90 pounds tops, but then like at least 8 to 10, at least 10 pounds of it was just this mass of hair up here.
Yeah, yeah. I think the Wookiee phase kind of was like sprinkled in between a lot of all of that, really. Like, High school, I went to a lot of music festivals.
Oh, okay.
EDM festivals.
Sure.
And traveled, and
Yeah.
that's when I like did a lot of like ecstasy and acid and shrooms, and like was all like, this is, I have arrived kind of thing. So
Living off 99-cent grilled cheeses.
hell yeah,
Yeah.
And like yogurts from the grocery or like the gas station.
gas station, yeah.
Sammy's.
Gas station yogurt. What like Hookahville, Bonneville? Wait, not Bonneville.
Bonneville? The fuck are you talking about, Bonneville? Yeah. Pontiac.
I wish.
Yes, it was Pontiac.
Yeah, I know.
Bonnaroo.
No, I was too broke for that shit. That's for sure. It was a lot of like smaller festivals. Legend Valley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My first one was in Asheville, North Carolina. It was called Regeneration. Yeah. And that's when I had like this like fucking spiritual awakening. Yeah.
A nitrous-induced spiritual
Yeah,
awakening.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Were you big on the hippie crack?
Hippie crack.
The nitrous.
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh,
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
never heard it
Yeah.
called hippie
I've always
crack.
heard that. Oh.
Laughing.
I just always
Isn't
called
it just laughing
nitrous.
gas?
Yeah, like
Nitrous?
nitrous,
yeah.
Yeah. Nitrous. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. I had that was in there somewhere. Yeah. I remember like festivals, people would be out in the parking lot with like giant fucking tanks of nitrous.
Oh, yeah.
Giving people like balloons and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You name it.
I can remember being at those, like, setting up the tent and people, like, just, like, appearing out of the woods, be like, you boys want to buy some hash? And it's like, no, we haven't even, like, gotten out of the fucking car yet.
Yeah.
Like, but yes.
Right.
Right. Yes. Yes,
Right.
please. Oh yeah, all the goodies there. And like All Good was one. Camp Bisco, which was like a upstate New York music festival that I went to, is for this band called the Disco Biscuits. And I remember like everyone was such an asshole at that festival because we weren't there for the Disco Biscuits. We were there for other artists that were there, and they're like, "What? Like you should be here," and they would like piss on your tent or like fuck with your shit. And
Damn.
yeah, they were
The
pretty
mean
brutal.
hippies.
They were mean. They were very mean. Not very
Not cool.
welcoming.
Not cool at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in a trap. We're in a,
Yeah,
we're in a sunroom trap house,
Squirrel
smoking crack and smoking heroin.
Right. So what happened?
We're also going to music festivals. How do we? We're all
we
over
come
the
back
place.
from
All
that.
Yes.
over the fucking place.
Yes.
That's literally just the story of my life. All over the place.
Okay, so where do we go from here? Is there like some like big event that happens that is like, man, I got a problem, I gotta get sober? Does it fizzle out? Like what was that
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah, so that summer where I said everything was just kind of like fucking smashed into, 3 months of summer in Columbus, Ohio. So we had gotten evicted from this dope house that we were in. And I remember like having to clean up this place, and if you can imagine, I'm sure you can, like it's fucking disgusting. There's like, shot empty, whatever, like all
the
over.
blood,
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
over the walls. There was like piss jugs on the floor that had gotten like kicked over and leaking, and it was just so fucking gnarly. And I, for some reason, like I got stuck like cleaning it. I don't know why, but so I went from there. I had contacted my family who lived in Clintonville, and the only time I ever like would reach out to them was when I like wanted something, right? And so I'm like, hey, I need somewhere to stay.
Right.
And they were gonna let me stay, but my stipulation, because
You had the
I
stipulation.
was
Oh, yeah.
allowed
Of
to have
course.
stipulations,
Right.
was that like my boyfriend at the time came with me. But the most they would do was let him pitch a tent in the backyard for like 2 weeks. So he would be in the backyard in this fucking tent. I would be upstairs, and then I'd like sneak down in the middle of the night into this fucking tent in our backyard in Clintonville and like do some stupid grimy shit. And again, lasted like 2 weeks. And during those 2 weeks, we like pretty much fucking ransacked my entire like parents' house for everything that we could. I mean, gold, baseball cards, fucking power tools, like everything. And but like the come to Jesus event, I guess. So I just remember being out walking on campus, and I had gotten a phone call from my mom, and like I could tell like she knew something, and she just like was asking me like what the fuck I was doing. Apparently I had left some kind of like paper trail in the house, indicating that things were messed with. So that triggered her to start like looking in all of her jewelry drawers and all of that. And sure enough, she found like some of the shit that was missing and called me. And so I walked my happy ass to my mom and dad's house. I mean, like, you know, like later on, I just don't really know what made me do it. Like, again, it was like I could fuck off, but like I'm not going to. And I went. I don't know why. It just happened that way. And so I went there and like told them everything. So if they've forgotten it since then, I'm sorry if it's like brought back up some past trauma. But yeah, I mean, I just like laid it all out for them, like what I'd been doing. So they wanted me to go to treatment for the first time. So I did. Went to treatment here in Columbus. It was like a intensive outpatient. So I went there 3 days out of the week. Before I started, though, I detoxed in my room. So like maybe a month, 2 months into this treatment program, though, like I really wasn't ready. Again, I was like 22 years old, something like that.
That's young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for an outpatient, I feel like outpatient, like, it never cut it for me.
No.
Same.
Like it was a good introduction, I
Right.
guess. Like
There you go.
that there was like something else. Because I really didn't know that there was like a different way to live. So I'll call it that. It was an introduction. But like, yeah, I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like not ready to give everything up, but then like also enticed by like this treatment and like going to meetings for the first time and seeing people there. And so like 2 months in though to this treatment, I was still like using, and not heavily, but like here and there. And I remember though I would like drink those nasty fucking detox drinks. They're like this big, and you chug them, and then you're supposed to like be able to pass a drug test like within a certain amount of time. And I can't even tell you how many of those that like I drank just to make sure I wouldn't get kicked out of this outpatient.
Did they work?
Yeah, I think I never got asked. So yeah,
It must have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
yeah, exactly. Or they just like really wanted to fucking keep me. I don't know. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was a 3-month long program, and I fucked off for like 2 out of the 3 months. And finally, like I was just really sick of like trying to like keep up with the whole drug testing. I had started to like getting a taste of meetings and like meeting people. And yeah, I just finally like stopped. But I think I kept that in my head for the duration of that first time being clean. That I wasn't ready yet. I was young. I like never really went through the whole like bar scene and like trying to responsibly drink or use or whatever. And like I remember when they asked me going into that treatment facility, they were like, do you ever see yourself using again? I'm like, I mean, I could maybe like drink or smoke weed sometime. You know, this is fine. So yeah, I think I held on to that for I stayed clean for the first time for like 4 years. So
Okay.
yeah.
And that's when I met you, was the
Yes.
first go around. Okay.
First go around.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I disappeared from a fellowship for a while after.
Okay,
that.
I was... I'm not remembering this correctly. Okay, so then... so almost 4 years, that's a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then... I guess like what's happening in that time frame that like leads you back to the rooms?
Well, I had a 10 o'clock meeting as my home group. Wednesdays, and I would go to that like religiously, right? And so going to meetings, I had an awesome sponsor, and like support people and like meeting you,
Especially me.
especially yes. God, I remember rap battles in the car with you.
Oh,
and Jess.
yeah. Bro, we go to a 10 p.m. meeting,
Yeah.
and then we go hang out at TJ's till like 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
to be,
play
like,
board games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you rode with me and Justin, you were, whether you wanted to or not, you were in a rap battle.
A rap battle?
You were
Hell
getting
yeah.
fucking flamed in
Pretty
that
sure
car.
it was a handful of times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether you wanted to or not, if you rode in my car, you were thrown into a rap battle, whether
Right.
you wanted it or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so what leads you back to the rooms after this?
Yeah, so maybe like that last year of my first go around, I did all 12 steps, and I kind of joke now that like I must have felt like I was done, like I did all 12 steps,
Yeah.
I'm good. And like I had gotten a big girl job by then, so I stopped going to the 10 o'clock meeting, and slowly like stopped talking to my sponsor. It's literally the cliche like sayings, stop doing everything that I was supposed to be doing, and really what kept me there for the longest time. And I stayed in contact with several people that like I had partied with in high school. Like they were still actively like partying, and I'd go to punk shows and everyone would be drinking and smoking weed. And for a while I kind of rode the like ego train of like thinking I was cool because I was the only like sober person in the room. But then that just started like catching up, where it was like, man, this is actually really not fun. And then I would like to have the kind of fun that they're having. And then, I did. So I ended up drinking. But what actually, and you probably don't know this, but the first like drink that I had was kombucha. I don't know if you know, but they make 5% kombucha that you can buy.
Mm-hmm.
So like kombucha normally is less than like 1% of alcohol in it. But you can go to like a fucking, like, what do they call it? Growler or whatever the beer stores are. And they sold 5%. So I was like, well, fuck yeah. I was like, this is cool. I'm healthy, but like I also can drink. So that was my first drink. When I had relapsed.
That's so lame.
Yeah.
I know.
Like relapses are always bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like I can never decide what's worse. Like something lame, like I'm drinking kombucha,
Right,
or
right.
like I'm shooting dope out the gate. Like they're both
Yeah.
like awful, but it's just
Right.
like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, after that, like, I drank beer, and that was it. Like, it didn't get any worse than that. And, like, I didn't suffer any kind of external consequences again. But at that time, I thought I had my shit together, right? So, like, I had a job, I had an apartment, I had a, like, healthy relationship. I don't know if you remember Mike. People called him Choo Choo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's who I was dating. And, but, like, we lived together. I had 2 cats I was taking care of. Like, I thought I had, like, my shit together, right? And, but, so February 15th of 2015, that's, when I, like, the first day being sober. And, I just got wasted the night before on Valentine's Day. But like honestly, it was not a bad experience. What the bad experience was like how I woke up the next day just feeling like I had all of this like fellowship 12 steps jargon and sayings like floating around in my head. And like I realized that like I was just fucking bankrupt, like the same kind of bankrupt that I was the first time, except like I actually had things in my life. So yeah, I mean, like I hated myself. I fucking hated where I was at, and I was miserable. And like even though it was kombucha, like the intentions were very much there to like cover up, those feelings. So yeah, so that maybe lasted like, I don't know, maybe like a month. And then I called a friend up who was in another fellowship, and went to my first meeting. So, and then I've been back ever since.
Hell yeah.
Hell
Nice.
yes.
I knew you'd switch fellowships.
Yeah,
Traitor.
that's where I went.
Traitor.
Yeah. Yep.
No, whatever works for you works for you. I'm
For
on
sure.
board for it.
For sure.
So then this time, getting sober, did you go to treatment, or you were just like, hey, I'm gonna go, I know what to do, I'm just gonna go fucking do it? Like,
pretty
okay.
much. Just went to meetings. Went like all in to meetings, and like I said before, it was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. This time it was like both feet, like dunking my whole entire body in like the 12-step fellowship pool. Yeah. So.
And early on, I think that's so important too.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
going all in
Yeah.
with it. Usually, the successful ones do that.
Hey, Mental Defectives.
Would you like to advertise on our podcast?
If so, email us at mentaldefectivespodcast@gmail.com.
So we can help you make a lot of money.
A whole lot of money. Where did the yoga come into the picture?
So I started actually when I'd gotten clean, so the second time, and I'd done it for like a couple years. Ashtanga yoga is the style of yoga that it is, and Taylor Hunt, I did say I wasn't going to drop names, but I dropped Taylor Hunt's name. He was the one that like started the studio and really kind of got me into it, and but I drifted off for like a couple years. Life just happened. I got like fat and happy, and but I started back up maybe like 3 years ago, something like that. And I've been doing it. I've started teaching at the studio too, and then like I teach classes at a treatment center as well.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
sweet.
Yeah, it's super dope.
Hell yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite.
Have you ever done yoga?
I have. Well, in treatment, actually.
Okay, same.
Perfect.
Okay, same. How was your
Yeah.
experience with it?
It's tough.
Yes.
It is so tough. It is so tough. But I can see, like, the benefit of doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's super sweet. Like, I don't know. I'm not disciplined enough myself to, like, make
I'm
it a
really
practice.
not either, but I try.
I went to a long-term treatment in Arizona, and we would walk.
Fancy.
We would walk. It was a living hell. We would walk from the treatment center to the yoga studio, like a mile and a half, under the blazing Arizona sun.
Wow.
And then go in there and do hot yoga.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was Ashtanga was the same. It was a crazy Canadian woman, and she would be like, "Oh, it's all about like doing whatever," and you're just like, "Bro, I want to die." And I can remember like walking out of there, and it's 110 degrees outside, and like walking out of the studio and be like, "Man, it's nice and cool out here."
Oh.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, so like we keep it maybe at 74 in our studio.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the last.
Like your own fucking body heat is enough that generates,
Oh,
and then all
sure.
the other people's body heat in the room, like it gets hot enough in the room. Like
Yeah.
you don't need it at 105 degrees. So, yeah, I definitely use it as like one of my tools, my primary tools. That's for sure. It's like, yeah, it's like really physical, and you sweat a fuck ton, and like you get really like healthy physically, but like spiritually and mentally too. There's a lot more to it than just like stretching.
yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then do you, like, if I want to take after I've divulged how much I love yoga, if I want to take, how do I get in one of your yoga classes? Like, do I book through the studio? Do I contact you directly? How do people do that?
Yeah, so honestly, either way, the primary studio here in Columbus is called Ashtanga Yoga Columbus, or AYC, and your first class is always free. So when you drop in, you can literally just show up at the studio and be like, "Hey, I've never done this before," and we'll be like, "Okay, well, come on in," and we show you how to do it. So, and the really cool thing is that so Trinity Foundation is who does the recovery center classes, and when people get out, or even if you're like already in recovery, just getting clean, not even in a treatment center, whatever, we have programs that we do, so like scholarship programs, so people can come and practice for free, free or like low cost.
Yeah.
and like the minimum requirements, like 3 days out of the week, pretty much to withhold the scholarship. So that's how I got started back up again. I had like a whole year of doing the scholarship, and then from there I became ambassador for them and like raised funds, and then became a teacher the next year, and so it's been like progressing. But I like started at where like I couldn't touch my toes, and then like within the year I could touch my toes and like the floor, and then it just kind of like graduated from there. So yeah, I'm grateful.
Hell yeah. And then how often are you taking the class into the treatment centers?
Once a week.
Once a week? Nice.
And we have like tons, maybe like a handful of teachers that are teaching around Columbus at other treatment centers too. And I feel like treatment centers are like popping up like
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, like there's always somewhere new, and then we have a yoga teacher that goes there. So it's everywhere in Columbus.
Yeah.
Which was it's really cool. I mean, that was like our main goal, right? Was to incorporate it into people's programs.
Do you do meditations with it?
So the practice itself is like a moving meditation.
Sure.
And because like it doesn't fucking matter like the cool poses that you do. Like the main thing that matters is that you're like breathing, and you're focusing really hard on like your inhales and your exhales. And there's in Sanskrit it's called drishti, which is like points that you stare at. So there's several different triggers in your body that trigger this like meditation during the practice. Now, I don't tell people in treatment any of that because it doesn't make any fucking sense. And I'm just like, yep, just move your body and like follow what I do. You're going to sweat a lot and that's about it. But like that stuff kind of comes later.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's like, it's extremely rewarding. That's for sure.
That's cool as hell.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. What advice would you have for someone looking to get into yoga?
Just start. Find a YouTube video, to be honest. Like that's how I kind of got started, just like dabbling in it a little bit. So I had previous experience throughout the years before I officially like call it becoming an Ashtangi. And that's just like based off of YouTube. It's based off of like random, studios around Columbus. I mean, you could literally like walk down the block and there's a yoga studio that's there. But yoga for beginners, YouTube, type it up and just do it in your fucking living room. Like it's that easy.
Yeah.
But to be honest, it was like just networking. I mean, thankfully, like again, Taylor, he was also like in the community and like welcomed people who are in recovery to come and take these classes. So I'd say it's all like connections. It's really helped me kind of get there. That's for sure. So, but yeah, start YouTube. Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, that's how we cobbled this shit show together.
Yes, it is. What advice would you give somebody who's like newly clean or getting clean?
I would say like go to as many meetings as you can. I went to a fuck ton, like more than 90 in 90 days. I would go from meeting to meeting. I would work and then go to a meeting immediately after. I was really busy when I first got clean. Like if I wasn't working, I was at a meeting or I was like hanging out with somebody who was also in recovery and sober. So just go to meetings, get uncomfortable. Like I know very well being the awkward kid, like not wanting to jump into someone's conversation or just like, feeling like I want to jump out of my skin, but like, that's usually where I've found the most like growth, and met like the coolest fucking people is just by doing that.
Me.
Yeah. AKA Matt.
Right.
No, I mean, seriously, like it took that. And then we would go out for eat and like fellowship and stuff. And,
that's what I was always big on, was just like grabbing like new people and be like, hey, we're all going to do this. Like and just telling them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you're so new, it's just like, oh, they invited me, but they really want me to go.
Right.
When you just like, no,
you're
going.
going.
You're coming.
And especially a lot of new people
Yeah.
don't have their own cars. So it's like, no, we got to see. You're
Yeah.
coming to the restaurant. You're coming to the whatever.
Doesn't matter if
Yeah.
you don't have any money.
Yeah, we got
nothing,
you.
Like,
It's all good.
Come on in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jess, thank you so much for coming through today.
Yeah.
Real quick before we get out of here, you were quoted as saying The Empire Strikes Back is the worst movie ever put to film and that George Lucas is an absolute hack who should retire from film forever. What do you mean by that?
I'm going to hell for
It's the
that.
Mental Defectives Podcast. It's Jerry with a G. I'm Milligram. It's Jess. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Nice, y'all.